Hi, I'm Hobbs Kaltus, and you're watching The Underground Bunker on Bloodrock Media. It's a weekly series where I'll be showcasing unsigned and underground bands that you really want to be checking out. I cover everything from pop rock to death metal because, let's face it, some of you like Bieber. And in a day and age where polarization is about everything under the sun, that's a very good thing. So let's get to it. This being the first episode, I'm going to cover some personal favorites. A lot of vloggers will talk about the big touring bands. I'm not going to do that. We're going to focus on the bands that look up to the big guys. Segway. The first band I'd like to talk about is a band out of Chicago called Makena. They're a story-based band that I can only categorize as Fear Factory in space. Think about that, like spaceships everywhere, planets exploding, laser beams everywhere, and it works. These guys got their start in 2004, playing lots of stage shows. I actually played a lot of shows with them, and they were pretty good. But after a couple of years, the guitar player and singer realized that the story they were trying to tell didn't really translate well to stage. So they got rid of the bass player and drummer and refocused the band as a personal studio project. They did a couple more albums after that, and then they recruited a female singer named Mel Rose, who initially did some guest vocaling and eventually became a full member of the band. She's really, really good. To date, these guys have released 7 full-length albums and 4 interim pieces. They started with Assembly of Tyrants while they were still playing on stage. Then they did Conqueror, lost everything halfway through recording, re-recorded everything, and still managed to hit their release date on New Year's. 6 months after that, they did Andromeda. 6 months after that, they did another full-length album, Empyrean. 6 months after that, another interim piece called Cepheus. 6 months after that, another full-length album called Acheron. Truly the best in the Acheron trilogy. And this is all while making music that doesn't sound forced. It doesn't sound shoehorned. Nothing is put in there for music's sake. Everything is where it should be. And this isn't even mentioning the fact that they released another 2 full-length albums, Xenon and As Embers Turn to Dust, and another 18-minute-long interim piece called The World We Lost. And it is by far one of their best tracks. I highly recommend you check these guys out. Buy their music, buy their music, buy their music. Their website is makenamusic.com. You can check out their stuff on Bandcamp, iTunes, and Amazon. Check them out. The next band I'd like to talk about is a band out of Des Moines, Iowa. They're called Dead Horse Trauma. These guys are a metal band that got their start in 2006 in Des Moines. Now think about that for just a second. 2006 in Des Moines. Now, so for a band like this to carve a name for themselves when Slipknot is literally dominating the arena is really saying something. They're one of the best metal bands in the underground scene, and it's widely deserved. Like Psychostick, they've done a fuck ton of touring all on their own. They haven't really done any touring where they're opening for huge headliners. I mean, they've played with a lot of them, but mostly they've toured on their own. And that's even when 4 of their tour bands have just blown up. The cool thing about this band is their fans are rabid and they're loyal. So each time that this has happened, a lot of their fans have donated money. And even when it hasn't been able to come through, bands have actually lent them their tour van. Now, that brings me to another point. These guys have some serious class. You know, their music touches on subjects about whatever is wrong with modern society. But that said, these guys are one of the nicest bands in the world. They don't talk shit about anybody, and unlike most underground bands, when they say they support a scene, they actually do it. There's too many bands out there that will say that they are going to go to a show, and then they don't. They'll say that they're going to download your music, and then they don't. They'll say that they're going to pump your band, they don't. Dead Horse Trauma, you know, puts their money where their mouth is. Not only will they share, you know, bands on their Facebook page, they'll put it on the band page. Add to that the fact that they've recorded all their own music, they've released it on their own, and tour on their own, and are some of the nicest guys. This is a total package. You know, and not only does their music rock, but their stage show rocks. They put everything they have into every single show, whether there's 10 or 300 people there. And the cool thing about a band like that is the performance. They recognize the performance. There's too many bands out there these days that will get out of bed, put on a wrinkly sleeveless shirt, and get on stage. These guys don't do that. You know, they put on the makeup, they black out their faces. Eric puts on his contact lenses. They got their uniforms, and it's great. Big show, big show, big show. They recently signed a record deal with Sony's indie label, Orchard Records, and they'll be putting out an album through them. They did release a video called Left Unsaid, which is coming out on the album, and it touches on a subject, it touches on suicide, which there hasn't really been enough conversation. Well, there's been a lot of shit talking, but there hasn't really been enough conversation because, you know, after Chester Bennington and Chris Cornell and everybody else that we've lost in the past year, there's a lot of whining and dining, and then there's a lot of people that are disagreeing. Now, the cool thing about a song like Left Unsaid is it takes on both points without being dickish about it. And that's the cool thing about Dead Horse Trauma. They're just nice guys. They're just going to tell you the facts and leave you to think about it. And for that, you really, really, really need to be checking these guys out.
Segway!
Let's expand our musical database for just a second and talk about a band from across the pond from Moscow, Russia. These guys are called Tacit Fury. Talk about experience, these guys got it. They got their start in 2001 as a four-piece in Moscow, Russia, a country where you can't be an all-girl band without getting thrown in jail for something. You guys remember Pussy Riot? They were just an all-girl band, dressing sexy, doing their thing. Jail. These guys have been doing death metal and dumping fake blood on themselves for a year and nobody's touched them. Why? Because they're good. Really good. I don't even like most death metal and these guys fucking rock. And also, think about this. They've recorded 3 albums on their own in a country that doesn't give you a whole lot to spend. And so you can tell that these guys have thrown everything into their music. And it shows. Their music isn't just good for Russian music, it's good for music. And more people should definitely know who these guys are. If you happen to cross the Iron Curtain, you should definitely check them out. If not that, check out their Facebook page, check out their Bandcamp page where you can get all their stuff. They recently signed a record deal with Raccoon Slayer Records, and I know they're going to be recording some stuff with them soon. I don't have a release date on that yet, but you should definitely check them out now. Check them out, get on the bandwagon now before these guys blow up. Because pray to the metal gods, if they ever cross the pond and come tour here, you are definitely going to want to see these guys live. I mean, check them out. They don't suck. And more people need to be aware of overseas music. Not just stuff that's from, you know, Italy or UK or anything like that. You know, what do we know from Germany? Rammstein. What do we know from Russia? Nothing! Tacit Fury. Check them out.
Segway!
2 words. Raptor Command. Their band name is actually Raptor Command, a tribute to Elon Musk. So, I mean, seriously. They do songs about the kinds of things that he does. The cool thing about a band like Raptor Command is they can do the power metal and they're not really cheese dick about it. You know, there's a lot of power metal bands that are sort of power metal for being power metal's sake. These guys don't do that. They can have a message, they can have a gimmick, and they're really cool about it. The music is really good. They actually, they did a Kickstarter a while ago where it was to fund the album, but the end goal was actually to launch a satellite into space where their music would transmit over and over again forever. And I like that. You know, the music doesn't take itself too seriously, and it's got a good tone to it. It's got a really good message, and when the album drops, I hope it does really well. You should definitely check out the songs that they have released. They can get them on Amazon and iTunes and all that stuff. You can watch them on YouTube. And when they start playing, I guarantee you they're going to rock your faces off. And that's knowing that their frontman, Tyler, is one of the best frontmen I've ever seen. He is good. Really, really good. Add that to 2 guitars, one who plays keyboards, and a drummer, and a bass player, all of whom know their shit. So, when these guys start playing, they're going to rock your fucking faces off. And I highly recommend that you check them out before that happens. Segway! I love saying this. Okilly Dokilly. Yeah, there's a band called Okilly Dokilly. Ned Flanders, doing death metal. There's not a whole lot else to say about that. I didn't leave them last because I don't have a whole lot to say. I left them last because they're fucking good and you really, really should pay attention. Ned Flanders doing death metal. I'm going to say that a lot because that single statement should alarm and impress you. Because not only are they dressing like Ned Flanders, not only are they doing death metal, but they're doing both really well. They haven't done any touring in a while, but they have toured a lot. And they've released a couple albums, and my favorite song by them is Wine Spritzer. It's just one of the kookiest, zaniest death metal songs I've ever heard. And the cool thing about it is basically they sing the, same verse, same as the first kind of thing. And the music video is even better. I really wish they'd release more music. I really wish they'd get out more, but in this, everybody's broke kind of climate, I understand. I don't actually know where they're from, but I can tell you where to find them, and you can find them on Facebook. You can find their music on iTunes and Amazon, and I highly recommend that you do both. Ned Flanders doing death metal. What else can I say, people? That's all the time we've got in this episode of The Underground Bunker. Like here, subscribe here, check out all the other Bloodrock media videos, including my other show, The Fallout Shelter, where I interview bands. If you don't mind, check out my band, The Toxic Dream. And I'm going to leave you with this remark. Don't say you support the scene. Support the scene. Don't just say you're going to do it. Do it. I'm Hobbs. I'm out of here.